YouTube going. All right, there we go. We got both of them going. Hallelujah. Okay. So this video is going to answer just a couple of questions that I was recently emailed about concerning breastfeeding. And these are just a few tips based off of my personal experience and experiences of other moms. That has worked. Again, everybody's still learning the different ways that the mother's body works in preparing and developing breast milk for the baby. So every year we're learning something new. Thank the Father for being able to see into the components of breast milk and the scientific advancements that have been able to take place for us to be able to understand why breast milk is so essential and for every infant that is born to have, even if it's not your own breast milk. I would recommend breast milk over formula any day, especially for mothers who are not able to nurse their children due to illnesses, diseases, incurable diseases, or just not having the ability to properly nurse, or the body somehow is unable to actually produce the breast milk in quantities that would be sufficient for the baby. So if you can't produce breast milk, find somebody who is willing to nurse your baby. There are plenty of I don't even know what they call them. Maybe they're called milk banks, but you can find breast milk. I think like I mentioned in the video that I did prior to this one concerning breastfeeding, breast milk has become very vital for people's life. You have cancer patients looking for local moms, local women who are producing breast milk and who are selling it. So that just again shows you how serious breast milk is. So these are just a couple of tips on breastfeeding and milk production. So let me see. I got a lot of different things written down. Hopefully I can get all of them in there. I don't want the video to be too long because I have another video that I have to do. Just trying to get caught up. So hopefully y'all can hear me. And I'm looking to the side because my notes are sitting right next to me. So I've had a couple questions come in. Is waking baby necessary throughout the night to make, to nurse the baby? If you don't wake up the baby, is there something wrong with doing that? No. The doctors will tell you to wake up the baby. If the baby doesn't wake up by itself to nurse, they'll use terminology such as the reason that the baby won't wake up is because his blood sugar is low. So you may have to set your alarm, and you may have to wake yourself every 2 hours so that you can feed your baby, so baby doesn't starve. But again, I went through that too. I did that with my first son. I set the alarm. My husband and I both woke up every 2 hours to feed him because that's what the doctor said. his blood sugar is too low to wake him up. So he's actually hungry. You need to wake him up to feed him. So we did that. What we ended up finding is when we woke up our son, he was very fussy for about 20 minutes because he was in a good sleep. He didn't want to wake up to eat. So after about the first 2 nights of doing that, we stopped doing it because we would wake him up, but then he would like fight that he didn't want to get on. He didn't want to nurse. So after the first 2 nights, I stopped doing that. And I just waited for him to wake up to eat. And he slept a whole lot better. He didn't wake up fussy. I was able to get my sleep again. So waking baby is not necessary. Your baby will wake up when he's hungry or when she's hungry to eat. Okay, so that's not causing any harm. It's not causing any danger to baby at all. The baby always is going to show you and let you know when he or she is hungry. Okay. I do agree. I was asked, is it vital? Should you switch your breast at each feeding when you are nursing your child? I would say yes. And I would say yes because if you consistently place your baby on the same breast while nursing, that breast is going to start producing more milk. And then you're going to have lopsided breasts. Okay. You're going to have one breast that produces a sufficient amount of milk. And then you're going to have another breast that produces a low amount of milk. So you want to make sure that you are alternating at each feeding. With me, my sons, they ate a lot. So they would empty both breasts with each feeding. They would nurse. So say I started him off on the left side and then he ended on the right side. The next feeding, I would nurse him on the left side again and he would end on the right side. Say one feeding, he only nursed on one side. If I left off on the right side, then I will nurse him on the left side the next feeding. Sometimes I would actually, if he only ate from one side, I would I would pump from the other side. That way, both of my breasts were empty. So that way I would have room for the refill for the next feeding that would come along. So yes, I would say it is important for you to switch nursing your baby. That'll also help you I guess, stray away from engorgement. You really don't want to leave milk in your breast if you don't have to. And if you're not familiar with using a breast pump, you can you can manually self-express the milk until it's a comfortable, your breast is comfortable for you to move around in. So yes, switch each breast or nurse from each at each feeding. Like I said, each mom is different. Each baby is different. My boys, they all nursed from both breasts during each feeding. So they would empty both of them. And I also produced a lot of milk. So even after they were done nursing, I would still have an abundance of milk. So I would be able to nurse, or I keep saying nurse, I would be able to pump and have breast milk stored for the next feeding if I wanted to feed them from the bottle. But I rarely feed them from the bottle until they're about, if it's a boy, I will feed him from the bottle maybe a month and a half. That's when I start leaving the home. I will feed them from the bottle from then. And I will only feed them from the bottle when we're like traveling on the road, when I can't get to him right away and I have my sister holding him, or a brother is holding him, grandma, somebody's holding him, then they would nurse him. They would nurse him from a bottle that I've pumped previously. but I don't go from immediately breastfeeding to putting them on a bottle, because I don't want them to get nipple confusion. That happened with my second son, and he did not nurse from any other. He didn't nurse from any other bottles after that when he got confused with the nipples, because as colored women, minority women, Black women, Latino women, those are different from European women or Asian women. Our nipples are a lot larger. So the nipples that they sell in the store, they don't look like ours. They don't mimic our nipples on a bottle. So when you give, you know, the baby that type of nipple, they can get confused and reject either your nipple, your natural nipple, or they'll reject the bottle. And what I had was my son, he started rejecting the bottle because the nipples weren't similar. So I try not to feed them from a bottle. For the boys, I don't feed them from the bottle until they're like a month or a month and a half. That's when I actually leave out of my house to where I will probably have to use a bottle. And then the girls, if I have, like, I have one daughter, with her, she didn't get a bottle and she didn't get a pacifier until she was about 3.5 months old. And like I said, that is to just keep them from nipple confusion. So yeah. So that is just a little tip on the bottle feeding, but I still pumped. So at the end of the month and a half, when I would leave the house for my little boy, I would have milk stored up in the freezer in the event that I would have to use breast milk. And then after having my little girl, I had milk stored up in the freezer because I like my breast to be empty after each feeding. So that way I'm able to sleep or I'm able to move around, and I'm not engorged, because when you fill up with milk, you have milk ducts that come all the way up to here, and then they come up under the arm. And so when you leave milk in there and then it refills again when baby cries or baby starts rooting, baby gets hungry, when it fills, if you didn't empty your breast, it's going to fill all up under here. And so I would go ahead and empty everything to avoid engorgement. Okay, that's just what I did. That is a tip you can also do. If you have a breast pump, whether it be a manual breast pump or an electric breast pump, if you still have milk in your breast after nursing your baby, he's already let go, just turn that pump on, pump the rest of the milk out, or manually express it out, and put them in the sterile bags, and you can just freeze them. So I have a question. How long can store milk in the freezer? Okay, so if you have a separate deep freezer away from your personal freezer that can just open, you can store that milk, I believe, from 6 to 12 months, because that freezer won't get open frequently. Now, if it's just a freezer where it's connected to your refrigerator and you guys go in and out of it, I believe it can store in there for about 3 months, because of the open and close, the pressure in there, it keeps changing where oxygen's allowed to get in there. So if it's milk that you're trying to store for a really long time, I would recommend you putting it in a deep freezer that's separate from your regular refrigerator. But if it's if all you have access to is just a refrigerator that you go in and out of regularly, then 3 months, 3 months, I believe. And it changes. There's statistics that they use with that changes a lot. But for me, I like the deep freezer because I know I want to nurse my children as long as possible. So with the deep freezer, even if I start the weaning process, I'll still have milk stored up. So even if I've weaned one of my children, they'll still have milk in the deep freezer that I can still use. That's in there for a really long time. So they can actually be on breast milk for 2 and 3 years instead of 1 year because I have milk stored up. But that's a good, I did not write that down on here. But what I will do is I will make sure I go and I will look up the exact details on how long stored breast milk can last in the freezer. In the refrigerator, stored breast milk only lasts you, I believe, 2 days. I try to go, they say 3 days, and then I take it down to 2 because I don't like to chance it. I just like, okay, you're going to drink this milk within 2 days. That's if it's thawed. I believe if it's fresh express milk, it lasts in the refrigerator for, I don't know if y'all can hear my children in the background, but they're downstairs playing. That's why I keep looking up like, okay, is that a sad cry? Is that a fun cry? Okay. But I'm going to make sure I get all the information on that. So that way I have the exact details on how long the milk can be stored. What else did I have on here? Okay. So I had a question about how long to feed baby, as long as baby's attached to you. Some babies nurse for 15 minutes. Some babies nurse for 30 minutes. My son nursed for 45 minutes. Yes, it was a long time. He nursed for 45 minutes. And if I interrupted him, it wasn't good. Okay, so however long baby needs to nurse, that's how long that, they need to stay on there. Baby will refuse your breast when he's done. When he or she is done, they'll just politely let go, and then they'll kind of, lean to the side. My son would let go, lean to the side, and he would still have milk in his mouth, and it would just like kind of fall out. And then he would fall asleep. So I would nurse the baby until he lets go. Let him let go. If you let him let go, you reduce the chances of the baby actually biting down on you when they start developing teeth. A lot of them bite down because they know mommy tries to release them, take them off before they're done. So if you want to kind of avoid the babies from biting down on your nipple, and when they get older, let them nurse as long as they want to, and they will get in a habit of letting go. I do actually train my children as I'm nursing them to let go. I need to do like a breastfeeding class so I can show what I do with my children, because close and personal, and it's not on camera. I can't show my breast on here. So if it's a breastfeeding class and I actually have just women in the room, I can kind of show you the different techniques that I use with my children, and that I've used throughout the years with each one of them, because each one of my children have had different eating styles. So I know that's one of their styles, and it could probably be a similar style that one of your children may have. So with my children, as far as how I train them on my breast, if it is an emergency and I'm nursing my child, they know when to let go. Okay, so I'm kind of just do a rundown on how I do it. So as they're let me see, after about a month for the boys, after about a month and a half, and there's a differentiation when I start training with the boys than when I start training with the girl. Just simply because I spend more time with the baby girl during my healing process than I do with the baby boy during my healing process. My healing process with the baby girl is about 3 months. Okay. So I start her training after about 3 months. The healing process with my boys is about a month and a half. So I start his training after about a month and a half. And the training is how to get them to let go. without them fussing, without them trying to bite down, without them being upset. So what I do is when they're about a month and a half, if it's a boy, I'm nursing them and I'm talking to them and I'm saying, okay, let's go. And I use that every single time I want them to let go. Those are the words that I say. And what I normally do is I take this finger, or whichever side I'm on, I'll take the finger and I bend it like this. And if you watch my breastfeeding video, with all of the tips, the benefits of breastfeeding, this is how I showed you where you can release the baby's mouth in the event that the baby has improperly latched on. So this is the same technique that I use to get them to let go during nursing in the event of an emergency. So in the event of emergency, whether it's a fire drill, or I got to take off running, or, somebody is an attack, or, somebody is about to break into the home or something, like, anything like that. My husband, and my husband trains us to make sure that we are able to be able to move in the event that an emergency, a catastrophe happens, and I could very well be nursing one of our children. So I'm training the baby as well. Okay, this is how I get you to let go. This is how you know that mommy needs you to let go when I need you to let go. Okay, so I take this finger and I'm looking at the baby directly in his eyes, and I say, okay, let's go. Come on, let's go. It's time to go. And I'll keep saying that same phrase. Okay, let's go. It's time to go. And I'm calm. I'm not, okay, let's go. We gotta go. I don't have to do that. I'm just, okay, let's go. It's time to go. And I'm looking at them. And as I'm saying it, I'm putting my finger right here in the corner of their mouth. And I just kind of twist a little bit until they get used to that. And what they'll do is, instead of their mouth still being clenched on me, they'll start opening their mouth like that. When they open their mouth, then I'll put my finger a little bit further. And then when my finger's further, they'll open their mouth more and they'll let go. They'll go like that. And then when they do that, I'm like, yay, I give them praise. Yay, good job, you let go. Okay. And I do that with every feeding. Okay. Because I want them to, it's like classical conditioning. I want them to get conditioned where if mommy puts finger right here by the mouth, that means open up and let go. And I'm doing that in conjunction with saying, okay, let's go. Okay, mommy needs you to let go. We gotta go. And so eventually I don't have to use my finger anymore. Now all I have to do is look at them in the eye and say, okay, mommy needs you to let go. Let's go. And they just look and they let go, and they're at peace because they know that mommy really needs them to let go. Okay. And they know that there's something more important that has to be done, like run or get situated on me to where I need to, whatever it is, they know that they need to let go. And this is at a month and a half. I do that for about, in about 2 or 3 weeks, they have it down where they know that if they hear mommy say, okay, let's go, they just let go. Now they've been trained. So in the event of emergency, if they hear me say, let's go, they let go. My son, my daughter, all of them have done that. I've never had to deal with them biting down on my nipples. Maybe because I've started training them so they're small, but you can train a baby to do anything with repetition. Okay. And it doesn't have to be strict and not strict, but like, you don't have to use this angry voice. You just calm and you'll get a response. That babies are so smart. Their brain is constantly making connections, all the way until they're 5 years old. So if you just do things with repetition and signals, they'll catch on to that. Okay. And you want to always do it using your voice too. So they know, okay, with certain words, okay, this means that. They can learn. Just because they can't communicate properly like we communicate, does not mean that you cannot teach a baby something. So that's just one of the things that I've taught my children to do. Every last one of them have done that. I just say, okay, let's go. And they just let go. So that's just a tip that you can do. And you can start doing that as early or, as soon as possible, as soon as you want to. So I just thought that I could just throw that tip out there, because that will also help training them not biting down. If you need the baby to let go of your moment, or you want to be prepared to have baby understand that they need to let go, then start training them. So when you say, okay, let go, you don't have to worry about them like clenching down, trying to bite your nipple off. Okay, because they'll do that because they're unaware. They don't know what's going on. They're just trying to eat. So everything is just with repetition and taking your time. And so if you start it while you're in your healing process, start it while you're away, and, you never know. It may be an emergency, God forbid, but you always want to be prepared. And that's what my husband's always talking about, us being prepared. I don't want me or my children to be the reason why, we aren't able to get away from somebody. So I don't want to lose one of my children because they're not trained properly on how to do whatever it is that they need to do. And like I said, training them, they'll be very peaceable when you do let them go, when you do ask them to let go, because now they're in agreement with you. They understand mommy needs to let go. Mommy needs me to let go. So I'm going to let go until I know mommy's going to feed me again. So now they're in agreement with you. Okay. So that's another tip. All right. How do I know when baby is done eating? He'll refuse the breast. He'll just let go. And then you'll try to put your nipple in his face again. And if he's going like that, that means he's done. He doesn't want anymore. He's full. Okay. Can you nurse while you are pregnant? Yes, I've nursed every last one of my children while I was pregnant. Just kind of wean themselves during the pregnancy. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You still will be able to. Now, you might be hungrier. You might be eating more because now you're feeding 3 people. You're feeding you're feeding the older, feeding baby in utero. So yes, you can nurse while you're pregnant. I've done them with all of my children, and they turn out perfectly fine. Baby still grows perfectly fine. Okay. Let me see. I should have started off with this, but breast milk is the original superfood. Okay. You will hear that a lot. There's nothing better than breast milk. That is the original superfood. So for moms who are kind of iffy on whether or not they want to breastfeed, whether or not they want to nurse their baby, I recommend you nursing your baby until your body stops making colostrum, which is about 2 weeks. I know the doctors tell you about 3 days. You make colostrum longer than that. You make colostrum up to 3 weeks. Up to 2 weeks, because you have a transitional phase. After the 3rd day is when your transitional milk starts coming into play. Your transitional milk is mature milk mixed with colostrum, and that will last about 2 weeks. Okay. So if you can nurse your baby for that whole 2 weeks, and then decide to take baby off for whatever reason, then do that, because the colostrum is so important. It's so important for the development of your baby. It is very important, especially once you have the baby, because the baby has to poop. Colostrum is like a laxative to the baby's body. And so the longer that poop stays in the baby's intestines, When they do those blood tests on your baby in the hospital and they come talking to you about jaundice or the bilirubin levels are high, that's because the poop is still in there. So if you nurse baby with the colostrum and don't go so quickly to trying to grab formula, that colostrum will serve as a laxative and cause baby to poop. The quicker the baby gets all that poop out, the lower the levels of jaundice shows up in the blood test that they're doing. The doctors like to try to scare you with that. Just nurse that baby and that jaundice will completely just lower out of that baby's system, okay? Okay, so colostrum is like a laxative. If you want baby to poop out all that meconium, nurse them, nurse them, nurse them, okay? It's also important to use that, have them nurse with that colostrum because the doctors don't really tell you this. And like I said in my previous videos, it could just be because they don't properly understand everything. Like I said, there's so much research that's coming out about the benefits of the breast milk that they even may not know. So I want to tell you this. When you nurse your baby from those first vital 2 weeks, is the nutritional supply that was supplying the baby all 9 months in your womb was the placenta. When you're nursing your baby from your breast, you are transitioning from the placenta being the key source of nutrients to that breast milk now taking over the job of the placenta. So it's like when you remove the breast from feeding the baby, when you remove your breast out of the equation from the baby, it's like removing the placenta from the baby. And that is what was needed for the proper development of the baby. So breast milk, that colostrum is very vital and is very important because that is the transitioning off of the placenta into the breast for the next wave of proper growth, proper development. Okay. They may not know that. They may not understand that. Okay. So this is why breast milk is vital. It's very important. So I wanted to say that it is like the placenta. Your breast milk is now taking the job of the placenta. Okay. The placenta knew exactly what to give baby. It knew the right amount of dosages. It knew the right amount of vitamins and minerals. And knew the right amount of enzymes to give the baby. Your breast milk does the same thing. It takes over the job of the placenta. And everybody knows how important and how placenta is to the baby. They even talk about it now. Do you know there are mothers who eat their placenta because of the nutritional benefits? That is just as serious as your breast milk. Your breast milk is, if not more, important than the placenta after the stages. Okay. I do not recommend you eating your placenta. Okay. That is just according to my beliefs. We don't eat our flesh. Okay. But I don't recommend you eating your placenta at all. Your baby can still get the proper nutrients and benefits from your breast milk. Okay. Mom, eat while breastfeeding. Everything healthy. Mom should have a well-balanced diet. If you do not have a well-balanced diet, which I'm going to talk about next, your baby's poop will show you. Okay. So if green poop is what you see after having a baby, after nursing them and they're pooping green, if it's like this lime green color, that's letting you know that there's too much sugar in your diet and you're not getting enough of your leafy greens. You're not getting enough of your alkaline vegetables in your system. It's off balance. You're getting too much meat, too much starch, and the baby will poop green. Okay. If the baby's poop is yellow, like a seedy yellow, and it has like the smell is kind of awkward. It doesn't stink, but it doesn't, it's poop. It's like I say mustard. It's like a mustard smell, like a mustard, creamy mustard with seeds in it. That's what it should look like. That lets you know that your diet is really good and baby is getting the sufficient amount of nutrients that baby needs. And you're going to get poop like that when you're eating an abundance of vegetables. And I'm not meaning potatoes, just potatoes, because potatoes are starch. I'm not meaning rice, just rice and breads. I'm meaning your serving portions of your leafy vegetables, your leafy green vegetables, is higher than your servings of meat. Okay. So your greens, whatever your turnip greens, mustard greens, Vates greens, Asian greens, dandelion greens, any type of greens, that is so good and so vital. Cabbage is really good as well. And a lot of people will say, oh, don't eat cabbage because it's going to give the baby gas. Vegetables give you gas. Okay. Everything gives you gas. You just need to know how to properly deal with the gas. Stay hydrated. Keep fluids in your system. That way, baby will stay hydrated. And baby will have a proper bowel movement to where he or she is not gassy. Okay. You want to make sure that you're getting your seeds in there, like your hemp seeds, your flax seeds, chia seeds, that's high in fiber, your legumes, your beans. You want a well-balanced diet. That way your milk will stay up there. Okay, your milk production will stay up there. Drinking fluids is definitely going to help you with your milk production, to keep your milk production up. Now, some moms still need assistance with their milk production because maybe baby eats a lot. My children ate a lot. They still eat a lot. My 10-year-old eats more than me. So I did add herbal substitutes in there with mine. Like I said, I produced a lot of milk still. I had tons of milk, but I wanted to make sure that I never ran dry. So these are a couple of things that you can do. There's an herb called shatavari, which is, you spell it Shatavari, and it's how do you say that word? Ayurvedic herb. If you type it in, it'll pull it up and it'll show you that helps increase milk production. With your breast milk, since if you're going to choose to breastfeed, you want to make sure that you increase your calorie intake by 600 calories. I say 600 calories. They say 500, like they're just now coming to the realization that you need more calories than you did when you were pregnant. When you're pregnant, you only really need to increase your calorie intake by 200 to 300 calories. They say you're eating for 2. You're not eating for 2. You're still eating for you, but you're just increasing that additional 200 to 300 calories for the development phase of the baby, for the increase of blood volume and all of that stuff. After pregnancy, you're gonna need to eat more than you were eating while you were pregnant, okay? Because you're gonna burn about 600 calories a day from nursing alone. That's not including you starting your workout regimen, okay? So you want to make sure that you're eating the amount that you're going to be burning. So they say 500. I say 600. Eat 600 calories more when you're nursing. I know people are probably like, how in the world do I eat more than I did when I was pregnant, when I'm probably not even going to be hungry after nursing? That is true. You're not going to get those same type of hunger pangs that you got when you were pregnant. Like, I'm hungry every hour. It's sad, I know. I'm so hungry. When I'm hungry, I don't know what I want to eat. And it just, sometimes I have to take a breather because my husband's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know. I just ate and I don't feel like eating. But you're going to have to eat almost like you were eating when you were pregnant. So this is my tip. This is what I do. Every time I nurse my children, I eat. So when they're nursing on me, I'm eating a snack. I'm getting a muffin or some kale chips, or I'm eating some, I like eating cheese and crackers and celery. And I used to eat carrots before I found out they was hybrid. Why are they doing all this to our food? That's another topic. But I try to eat something. I'll get a sandwich. I'll fix me a sandwich, spinach, meat and cheese sandwich, and I'll eat that with some sweet potato chips, or, I try to eat something while I'm nursing. Okay, so that I can keep up on those additional calories that I need to have, because breastfeeding is going to cause you to lose weight, and you don't want the baby to start pulling from all these other parts of your body to where you're just shrinking, and then your breast milk dries up. So you want to eat those additional calories, additional 600 calories when you start nursing a day. That's 600 calories a day. Okay. Your calcium, you want to increase your calcium intake. This is personal experience. I had perfect teeth. See, look, like I had perfect teeth before I had my son, my first son. And I later on discovered while nursing him, my tooth broke. It just broke, like it shattered in my mouth, and I had to get it pulled. I had to get a root canal, and it was all kind of stuff that happened. Well, my calcium and my vitamin D levels were low. And so I had to start increasing my calcium intake. So an herbal way that you can increase your calcium intake is there's an herb called oat straw. You can make you some oat straw tea. You can make you an oat straw tincture. If you don't have time to make a tea, you can make you a tincture. I also make all of these things. You can purchase these things from me. I actually have a herbal tea that I've designed for mothers right when they come off of delivering their baby. And it's called the Renew, Restore, and Replenish Me tea. And it has all of the herbs in there that will help your milk production stay up. And it'll continue to be up, and it'll help your milk let down come quicker. And it's full of oat straw. Oat straw is high in calcium. You can Google that or start page it, Bing, whatever search engine that you use. It's oat straw, OATSTRAW. And it'll show you all the benefits of it. Okay. That will help your calcium intake go up. I like suggesting herbs because I don't want to suggest this. I don't want to say you need to start taking calcium, and then you go to the store and you buy a supplement, but then the calcium that you're getting is not real calcium. Your calcium is not a plant-based calcium. It's a rock form. Your body cannot digest and process a rock form. Okay. It can only process plant form. So I like recommending herbs because now your body can break that down. You go buy a supplement from GNC that says calcium. You're going to take that pill, and guess what? You're never going to get the calcium. It's going to go in and then it's going to go right back out. And you'll never receive that vitamin. You'll never receive that mineral that you was trying to get. Okay, so this is why I recommend herbs. It's easier to get it into your system, and it's a natural source. Okay, and you know what you're getting. Okay, so let me see. What else is that? They also have like little teas that you can get. They sell at the store. I think it's called mother's milk tea. They have that. I know for me, when I had purchased, I could not stomach it. I would drink it and it would make me feel so nauseous. So I had to develop my own mother's milk tea. And I just call it the milk maker tea. And I digest that very well. It's full of a lot of different herbs that produce milk production. I also developed a tincture because it's a lot quicker for me to get in my system because I'm moving all the time. 5 children. I don't have time to wait 20 minutes for it to steep, then let it cool off, then pour it in a cup, then drink. Some days I do. Most of the time I don't. So a tincture is simple for me to just pop the top, do my droppers full, and then I'm good for the day. Okay. So those are the tips on milk production. Yeah, I guess I could make another video on what you should eat if that wasn't good enough detail for when you're breastfeeding. Let's see, what else did I have to answer? Oh, if you can, do not let baby wait. Okay, breastfeed on cue. As soon as baby starts crying, most of the time the baby won't start off crying. He'll start cooing. He'll make little noises. Oh, and I know every cry. I know the cry that they're saying they're hungry. They make like this little noise. And it's kind of similar because I hear some of the sisters' babies make a little noise and I'm like, oh, that sounds like I'm hungry noise. So if you learn the different coos, the different calls, because the baby, they do communicate with you. It's just most of the time we don't notice it. And we think they're just, oh, they're so cute. They're just making these cute little noises. Oh my gosh. And they're really trying to say, Mommy, I'm hungry. And they're just letting you know, I'm hungry. And then it turns into, I am hungry. And then it's, I'm really hungry. So you just have to learn, baby, when he needs his diaper changed, when he's gassy, when he's trying to burp. There's other ones. When he's tired, if you learn the different sounds that they make, you'll be able to get to him quicker. So when the baby gives you a cue that he's hungry, immediately nurse. 9 times out of 10, when baby gives you a cue, your body knows and your body will just start producing milk. When you start feeling the letdown means you start feeling that little tingly sensation in your breast, and then milk starts coming out. That's what the letdown is. When you start feeling that tingly sensation developing your breast, that's letting you know, okay, it's time to feed baby. Sometimes, like, I know exactly when I'm about to fill up with milk even before it starts. Because now, like I said, I have 5 children now. It will be 6 children here shortly. And I know exactly when my body is about to produce milk. I can tell people, okay, I need to go get the baby because I'm about to let down. And this is before letdown even happens. So when you start paying attention to the cues of your body, then you'll start being able to tell, oh, I need to go get ready because I'm about to fill up with milk. It's time for me to feed baby. And every single time I say that on cue, the letdown comes. So letdown is when your body starts filling up with milk and you can feel that tingling, and then you can start feeling the milk come out. When the baby makes a cue, 9 times out of 10, letdown will come. So there's a sound that my children make when they're hungry. They start off like, they do that. And then it turns into, it's like like I'm trying to get your attention, mama. And then when they're starting to cry, it's like, and that's them saying, Mommy, I'm hungry. And then it's going to turn into a scream if you wait any longer. And by then, it's going to be harder to get them on the longer you wait, because now they're already into their full-blown scream and they're upset. And so it's going to be kind of hard to calm them down. Then, because they're in the middle crying, now it's going to be harder to get them to latch on properly. So as soon as you get that cue where they're, go ahead and get them and go ahead and start nursing them. You don't want your breast really to fill up because you're holding off too long, because now you're chancing being engorged and you're chancing it harder for the baby to latch on properly because there's too much milk stored in your breast. So now the baby can't get a proper suction on the areola. It can't get a proper suction on there because you've waited too long. So try not to wait too long. And if you do wait too long, try to express some of that milk before you put baby on there so they can get a proper hold on your areola. Okay. While you're nursing, again, let the baby remove himself. Let him remove himself from the breast spontaneously. Like I said, most of them will just be like, and then they'll just let go. And they'll just sit there and they'll be content. They'll either be asleep and let go, or they'll be full and let go and just stare at you because they're full. So let the baby do it. I know I got a question about fore milk and hind milk. No such thing. I know I just had to pause so you guys can be like, no such thing. Your breast doesn't make two different milks. Your breast makes one milk. One type of milk. Okay? There's no such thing as a fore milk and a hind milk. It's almost like a definition that it's like a definition they try to come up with, but there's no such thing as a fore milk and a hind milk. It's only one type of milk that comes out of your breast, and that is the milk that the baby needs at that specific time. Okay. Even though there's discolorations, there's certain colors of the milk. That does not mean that there's two types of milk. Okay. The first part of milk that is coming out when you read articles or you, and that's mainly here in Western states, the Western culture, the Western hemisphere, that's normally here where they teach you fore milk and hind milk, which like I'm just now hearing all this stuff like, what? Okay. But that's normally over here in the Western world. They say that the milk that comes out immediately once the letdown happens is called your fore milk. And what they do is they pump it and they put it in a little tube or a little bottle and they say, see, because it's lighter. See, if baby only gets this milk, this is what happens. His poop is horrible. His poop turns like this. That's not accurate. If your baby's poop turns green from drinking your breast milk, it's because you have a poor diet. Okay. It's not because they are drinking the clear, the milk that looks clearer. Okay. It's because your diet is poor. Okay. And then what they do is they take another tube and they show you the milk that comes out closer to the end of the feeding, and they call that the hind milk. And that milk looks darker. Okay, so you have milk that looks like skim milk, and then you have milk that looks like what is it? Regular milk. Hold on just a second. Hi, honey. I'm doing a video. No. Oh, we're still here. When dinner gets done. Yes, sir. Okay. I believe he was just here. Oh, okay, yes, sir. Okay, shalom. All righty. Sorry about that. Resume. Oh, okay. Hallelujah. That was simple. Sorry about that. My husband called. Okay, now I gotta get that back up there, resituated. Oh, YouTube. I'm simultaneously recording from Facebook at the same time, so that's what I'm trying to do. I have two cameras going right now, just in case you're trying to figure out what I was doing. Hey, Crystal, is Danny still here? He went to go get zucchinis. Oh, he went to get the zucchinis? Yeah. Okay. What's wrong? My husband wanted some oregano water. He's at the gym now. I don't know. He didn't say that. He just said he wanted some oregano water. Does Danny have some? So what he's gonna do? Come back to the house? Yeah, like he come back to drop off. Oh, okay. And then on his way home. Oh, okay. Okay, so you have to remind me. Okay, where was I? I was saying 4 milk and high milk is a myth. Yes, that's where I was at. Okay, so it's a myth. It's just something that they came up with. Maybe they were trying to describe something. And those were the proper words. Those were the words that they could come up with to describe it. Okay, so your breast only has one type of milk. I'm going to tell you the reason for the discoloration. Okay, when you fill up with the breast milk, after my son is really screaming. Somebody must not be allowing him to play with something. Or he's trying to get up here to me. What happens is, in between feedings, your breast, when you're done feeding, the breast milk that your body still has in there that didn't get completely emptied out, that breast comes down and it goes closer to the nipple and it sits there. I mean, that breast. That milk comes down and it gets closest to the nipple and it sits there until the next feeding. Okay. And then when your breast fills up with milk, more milk comes down and it sits there until baby actually starts suckling. So the milk that you see that comes out clear is more full of just the milk and less of the fat, because the fat is still further up in the milk duct. Okay, so you have the breast milk that is closer to the nipple that is sitting there, and then you have the fat from the milk that is further up in the milk duct still sitting there. It's not two different milks. Okay, you just have a release of more milk with less fat in it at the beginning than you do towards the ending of the feeding. Okay, so or should I don't want to say towards the ending of the feeding, it's towards the emptying of the breast. Okay, how long you feed your baby does not determine how much fat the baby is going to get. What determines how much fat the baby is going to get is the emptying of your breast. Okay, if you don't empty completely, then there's more fat in there that the baby's not getting. So in the initial phase of nursing, the baby's getting that milk that has already come down prior to the previous feeding, plus the additional milk that's coming out during letdown. Okay, during letdown, the breast begins to the glands dilate and allow the milk to just come down. As the baby begins to suck, it begins to pull and draw on the fat that was already stored up, still kind of clogged together. clump together in the breast duct, in the milk duct. So it's the same milk. It's just the reason that this one is more watery and looks like skim milk is because the fat is still higher up in the milk duct. But once baby starts sucking, he's going to suck and pull that fat down. And the longer that the baby sucks, he's going to continue to pull the fat down. So the fuller the breast is, the less fat is coming out. The emptier the breast is, the more fat is coming out, because now the baby is going to be suckling and pulling the rest of the fat out of the breast. So what you really want to pay attention to is the emptying of the breast and not how long that you're feeding. Okay. So also while you're nursing baby, like say you have baby on you, you can kind of help the milk and the fat come down by just kind of lightly massaging the breast to make sure that the milk is coming down and it's not getting caught up in, the milk ducts. Okay. So you can just do a light massage to help the milk come down, to get all it down, especially if you're engorged up in this area. Just do a light massage to allow the fat that's clogged in those milk ducts to come on down. Okay. So don't focus on how long feed baby. You want to focus on how much you have emptied your breast. Okay. If your breast is empty, that means baby got a lot of fat out. If your breast is still kind of full, that means baby did not get a lot of fat out. Okay. So you want to kind of massage that down, get all the fat out of there. Okay. So you can nurture, like I've done it before. My sons, the older that they get, they don't have to nurse for 30 and 45 minutes. They can nurse for 15 minutes. And they've got their full sufficient meal because my breast is no longer full of milk. It depends on the emptying of the breast. Okay. So for milk and high milk, don't get caught up in those types of terms that they use. There's one type of milk. Okay. And the only reason that it's discolored in the beginning is because it's less fat in that letdown milk than it is in the milk that is coming down towards the emptying of the breast. Okay. I think that is it pretty much, ladies. And if you guys have any more questions concerning breastfeeding, feel free to email me. You can text me. You can write a comment on this video. I made this video. I had a sister contact me and she's asked questions because she's talked to previous moms on how they dealt with breastfeeding. And this is how this video came about. So I could share with you, the answers to the question, because I'm pretty sure if she had those questions, somebody else has those questions as well. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else really? Oh, and you want to make sure you're taking very good care of your nipples. Okay. If your nipples get really sore from nursing the baby, your breast milk is a perfect remedy. You can take a little bit of that breast milk and you can just rub it on your nipples and let your nipples air out. If you're nursing at home, it's just you, your husband, baby, just let them air out. Put the breast milk on there and let them air out. And after every feeding, you can do the same thing. Breast milk on there, let it air out. If they begin to get dry, you can also use, I don't recommend lanolin. It's a very thick substance. You can use coconut oil, your natural oils, safflower, sunflower oil. Those are no clog oils. You can rub that on your nipples. If you don't have access to that, I make a nipple cream as well, where I use those no clog oils and the oils that are natural that we ingest. I use those to develop my areola cream, is what it's called, and it'll help keep it moisturized. And you can apply it and nurse baby. You don't have to apply it and then remove it, as what with like I think with the other oils that they use in the store. You kind of have to put it on there after the feeding and then wash your nipple really good before you feed the baby. Your breast milk and then those natural oils, you don't have to remove that. So allowing your nipples to air dry will definitely help with keeping them from getting cracked, peeling, and itchy. Let them air dry. It's just you at home. When, if that's happening and it's just you, just let them air dry at home. If you do get sore, bleeding, cracked nipples, use your breast milk. It will speed up the healing process. Okay, your breast milk is like a liquid Band-Aid. So it has so many benefits. It's just amazing. Okay. What else? If you are going to be using nursing pads, I recommend cloth nursing pads. No chemicals in them. I recommend cloth nursing pads. You can get them from, they have some, I believe, at Walmart if you have a local Walmart or a local Whole Foods. The herb stores, they sell nursing pads. I have nursing pads as well. So I recommend nursing pads, but make sure that your breast is dry before you put them on, and then you cover up because you don't want that irritation to build up on you. That's a very sensitive area and it will get irritated really quick. So make sure you're properly cleaning that area and you're changing out those nursing pads very regularly, because you can start developing that sour milk smell if you're leaving those nursing pads on too long, or you're using the same ones. You're gonna have to change them. I would definitely stock up on nursing pads. That is the best gift that you can get mama for a baby shower gift. If people are asking you what it is you may need for a baby shower gift, hey, tell them, can you please get me some nursing pads? Because you're going to need nursing pads. If you don't get non-disposable nursing pads, you will be going through quite a lot of disposable nursing pads. The ones that you buy in the store, they normally come in like 60 in a box. So you're getting literally like 30 that you can use. You're going to go through those so quick. I went through them in like a week because I produced a lot of milk. What I found very valuable is using non-disposable nursing pads, cloth pads, cotton. Get you some cotton, what's breathable fabric, so you don't develop a rash, you don't develop irritation, any of that from chemicals or anything. So nursing pads are very good. You want to get stocked up on those, and you can have multiple people buy you nursing pads. That is a good gift to give. One of the main gifts, diapers. If somebody's asking you what you need for the baby shower, diapers and wipes. If you're going to do disposable diapers, I would request 50 million boxes of diapers. That's just my word I use for exaggeration. That's how many diapers you're going to need. I didn't have to buy not one box of diapers when I had my son and my daughter, because I had a supply that was already stocked up from everyone. The gifts that they gave were diapers and wipes. So once, we needed to leave the house, because I did cloth diaper. When we needed to leave the house, I would just open up one of those boxes of disposable diapers, and we had disposable diapers that last us for a whole year. So we had a year supply. So hallelujah. But that's about all. That's all I have as far as the breastfeeding tips. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free. You can email me at mothersherbalinstincts at gmail.com, or you can comment below on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook channel. You can definitely leave a comment, and I will try to get those questions answered as soon as possible. Bless you all, and thank you for watching. Shalom.